Good morning. It's a Sunday here. It's November the 3rd today, and yeah, we'll be home in a month's time. So yeah, we've been on the road now for 9 months of our 10-month trip, nearly finished. And I thought it was about time we actually did a bit of a run through of how the car's set up, the caravan set up, and how things have all been going. So this is our ute, Betsy, as she is affectionately known, Betsy the BT50. So it's a 2019 Mazda BT50 with the 5-cylinder 3.2 diesel in it. It's a 6-speed manual, and it's been going pretty well during the whole trip, I must say. It's towed quite well. It's towing about 2.5 tonne. The ute itself weighs about 2.8 tonne with everything loaded in the back. It's been going okay. Economy wise, it is using about on average 20 litres per 100, but that's to be expected with these things with a bit of weight in the back. So with Betsy, we're pretty lucky. The previous owner had already set this up for camping, so there's not many things we had to do to get this ready for the road. About the only extras we've done on this are the 17-inch alloys with the all-terrain tyres. We went to 33-inch tyres just to get a little bit of extra ground clearance and a bit of extra meat on the tyres. And I also bought these clear view towing mirrors secondhand online. As you can see, they're a little bit worse for wear, but they're doing the job, and they are fantastic for towing your caravan. Okay, in the back we have sort of where we have everything stored, mostly, that isn't in the van or in the back seat. So we've got a couple of really deep drawers. These drawers are massive. As I said, the previous owner built these himself. They go the full length of the canopy, come right out, and yeah, just have all our bits and pieces in there we don't use all the time. So they're very handy, they lock in nicely. They've handled all the rough roads and everything. We've got lots of dirt and everything, as you can see underneath where all the dusters come in under the canopy. Bottle jack, other bits and pieces, little Ryobi inflator, which has been great. My little kick-ass portable pump pack, which is an awesome little bit of kit for pumping water out of the water bladder into the main system, and it also doubles as a backup pump in case the one inside fails. So yeah, it's all good. The other thing I did do as well was I got this plastic box from Bunnings that actually has a second toilet cassette for the caravan. So the idea was, if we were somewhere off grid, we normally get about 3 or 4 days out of a toilet cassette before it needs emptying. You can swap out the second one into the van, take the other one for a drive in that box without it splashing everywhere inside the car, of course, which you don't want. And yeah, take it out, empty it, bring it back, swap them back, whatever. And yeah, it just allows you to be off grid a bit, take it for a drive without dragging the whole van out of a camping spot and bringing it back. So once again, we've only used that a handful of times, but the box itself has been quite handy just to take the toilet for a bit of a drive if we're at a big caravan park and we don't want to walk 500 meters to a dump spot with a full toilet cassette, which is never fun. We bought ourselves just a King's, I think it's a 45 litre fridge freezer. It's switchable between fridge or freezer. It doesn't have dual zone, and we just used it as a fridge. We call that our beer fridge, but you know, we do put extra food and stuff in it when we run out of space inside. Now inside the ute, we have, once again, previous owner had installed these. The UHF radio, which is handy when you're travelling WA with the big road trains. Well, actually New South Wales, South Australia, Victoria and WA with all the road trains. Plus there is a Red Arc Tow Elite electric braking system, which is really handy because we didn't have to buy it and get it installed. And that obviously connects to the caravan to work the electronic brakes and works quite well. Just some other bits and pieces in the back of the car. Because we're just the two of us, we've got a back seat that we can use to store excess bits and pieces on. Here we've just got a couple of 6-meter Anderson leads. This is a 100-litre water bladder that I bought on eBay. I don't think it was more than about 80 or 90 bucks, and it's worked well. It's got us out of trouble a couple of times. That is a King's 200-watt foldable portable solar panel, which I use to top up the power in the vehicle when we're off grid for a bit. It's great in winter. You can have the sun aiming directly at it when the sun doesn't sit quite as high in the sky to suit your panels on the roof of the van. That has been super handy, and because we are working 3 days a week and need our laptops and we really rely on that power, I would recommend getting external panel, even if you have panels on the roof. Okay, now to the Caravan, or Milton, as he is affectionately known. Milton, our mobile Hilton. This is a 2012 Coromal 19'6" van. Once again, we bought this second hand. It was basically in brand new condition because it hadn't been used all that much. We did make a few mods to it, but generally speaking, on the outside, not a great deal of changes. Just to dig into some of the internal changes and other bits and pieces and handy things we drag around with us. So first of all, on the left there, you have two 120 amp hour iTech batteries. That was bought as part of I think it was like the medium-sized system. It's a AC to DC charger, DC to DC charger with MPPT for solar panels, and that forms the core of our electrical system. Yeah, so that was all bought together. That was a great little kit. I also installed three 160 watt solar panels on the roof for a total of, 480 watts of solar. And as noted before, I also connect the external panel if we want to boost it up a bit more, especially because we rely on that power to do our jobs. The usual leveling ramps, a grey water tank, which is not really a necessity, but it is for a lot of camping spots in WA. They really crack down on collecting your grey water and using dump points to dump your grey water. Roll out mat, our hoses and bits and pieces, and my handy Ryobi drill for doing the legs up nice and quick on the Caravan. Just round the back of the van, the only couple of changes I've made here are there's a 25 litre jerry can for extra diesel in the back. We've mostly used this to top up the diesel heater during winter, and it's just there as a bit of peace of mind if we ever run out of diesel in the car or get a bit low. The other thing here is the pool cleaning pole on the back of the van, which is actually my STARLINK mount. So that was hobbled together based on a YouTube video or a Facebook page where someone talked about it. But that's how we put our STARLINK up and mount it at the top when we stop. It always comes down when we travel. Don't like the idea of leaving on the back of the van. At the moment, the STARLINK's actually out there on its standard little stand out there, just because we've got a little bit of tree cover here, so we're trying to get it to face through the trees. Okay, inside the Caravan, this is where the most changes are made, I suppose you could say. So what you'll notice first is this little setup here. So this is because we work 3 days a week on our computers in the van. The cafe style lounge and table were ripped out by me, and I set up with this T-shaped desk with some little bit of a drawer set up underneath to put laptops, cables, bits and pieces in. This is sort of how we set up when we stop. Laptops out, nice big wide monitor there. Kirsty's doing a lot of work with big spreadsheets and lots of numbers and data analytics, so she needs a big screen. I generally just work off the laptop for the type of work I'm doing. And my study, they're just two standard computer chairs. When we're traveling, I just push this in here. I've got this little strap in here. It just locks onto the chair, stops it moving around. Washing basket under there. Not very exciting. We did have to move our water pump there. So the water pump was on the floor there where the cafe seating sort of come out to this section here to cover it. So the water pump's been moved in there. The cupboards in the Caravan originally had hanging space, but I built some shelves into it, made it much more useful. That's the standard Dometic 3-way fridge. Works well enough, doesn't like hot weather. So I did install this little switch for 12 volt PC fans behind it. They just keep the back of the fridge cool, make it more efficient, and I can get an extra 4 degrees of cooling ability out of the fridge, I suppose you could say, during really hot, 35 degree weather. Otherwise, you're struggling to keep these fridges under about 8 or 9 degrees, which isn't great long term. Couple of what are they, Sirocco 2 fans. We got them cheap second hand, thanks Mick, and they work quite well for little fans. I did buy a 12 volt fan that I don't have out at the moment. It's under the bed, but it's just a 12 volt camping fan that we can just plug into a cigarette lighter socket. Brought that out a few times when it gets over 30 plus degrees in the van, which is happening lately, and also at the start of the year. Okay, the other non-standard thing we have there is the TV setup we have there facing the bed. So that is actually a 32-inch computer monitor that we already owned. That's been mounted to a bracket on the wall. It's actually bolted through the other side of the wall so it doesn't fall down. Had no problems with it. The bolts have got loose with all the roads we've been over in the last 9 months. Tighten it back up, no problems. No dramas at all, it's nice and secure. That is actually connected to, there's a mini computer up underneath there. Yeah, that runs all of our Netflix and streaming services, anything like that, browse the internet on it, anything like that. We've got a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse that sits up on the tray there that we can use. But yeah, generally it's an okay size to sit in bed, watch a movie or two. Okay, the mess under the bed. Well, first of all, we have a couple of boxes at the end of the bed with all our shoes in. They just seem to stay put underneath that overlap of the bed, so that sort of gets them out of the way. And then we've got all the other bits and pieces we don't use all the time under the bed. In this wooden box here is just I think it was a 5 kilowatt diesel heater I bought on eBay for like $170. Yeah, it was, my father-in-law installed that for us. Thanks, Adrian. And it works fantastic. For 170 bucks, it was a bargain. The little control panel sits up next to the bed here. And yeah, it just, it works amazing. Being on for 5 minutes, you can go from 5 degrees in the van to 25 degrees in the van. It's super efficient, only sips away at the diesel, and yeah, it just works well. Overall, everything's been working quite well. We've been pretty lucky. Haven't had too many issues. We've only had one split tyre on the Flinders Ranges roads after about 450 k's of dirt and gravel the size of your fist, but all the same, pretty rough roads. But and we had a few water system sort of plumbing breakages, so lost about 3 different fittings due to splits and just disappearing, vibrating off the van and disappearing into the dust. So they were pretty easy fixes, didn't really slow us down too much, and just sorted them out when we got to the next caravan park and bought the parts, so that was fine. But other than that, we have had a recent interesting little situation here. So you'll see the 100-mile-an-hour tape on the side of the van here. I've got that on both sides. This is a known issue, that where this cladding is, there's blind rivets underneath, and with all the vibration and just jumping around the van on the rough roads, it actually pops the heads of the rivets off underneath this cladding. So this actually bulges out a little bit when we're driving along. We do not want it to bulge out too much because it will peel the front of the van, which we don't want. So at the moment, we've got some 100-mile-an-hour tape on it, just to hold it in place till we can get that sorted out. We may leave it till we get it back home, not too sure. Looks like it might be a bit of a job to do. Yeah, that's a quick rundown of everything around the van. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, let me know. Happy to talk about it. Maybe talk too much about it, as Kirsty would say. But other than that, we're going to be back home in about a month, and we'll see everyone back then. Cheers.